Okay, Carla, you can come back up. Okay. So, hi. Host Eric here, Coach Eric here. Welcome. Third time's the charm. We are here for an LD round. Autonomy debate talking with famous people. I've got famous person and famous debater Courtney, and she is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I have got famous person, famous debater Carla, and she is witness protection programming up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And I've got me, and I've got you, the viewer. So let's start the round. Who is affirmative?
Carla, me.
Carla, you go off, and let's go whenever you're ready.
Okay. 6 minutes. Affirmative constructive. Everybody ready? Hello?
Yes, we are as ready can possibly be. I'm the readiest guy you ever will see. I practiced readiness at readiness school, and I got an A. Why do you want us to wait, Albert? Because what?
Courtney, I can't hear you. I think you've muted yourself.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I muted myself.
Okay, but why do we need to wait for you? Okay, let's go. Let's start the round.
Okay. Time starts now. I affirm the resolution immigration ought to be recognized as a human right. Value autonomy. Value criterion upholding negative rights. The definition of immigration is when American heritage projects foreigners. Departure from one's native land to settle in another. Observation 1. Observing the affirming the resolution destroys the nation state. Burdens. Affirmative. The affirmative needs to establish that the elimination of the nation state is good, and withstand negative challenges to set established wants and impacts. Negative. The negative needs to prevent the affirmative from doing so. Condition 1. Affirming the resolution eliminates the distinction between nations. The reason we are able to distinguish between nation states is because they are able to secure their borders and prevent people from passing freely. Subpoint A, Mosley 10. These are not legitimate authorities, thus cannot justly use force. The status quo allows them to wage unjust war against those who would travel from their native lands to someplace else. Possessing just cause is the first and arguably the most important condition of jus ad bellum. Most theorists hold that initiating acts of aggression is unjust and gives a group a just cause to defend itself. Subpoint B. The current war on immigrants is an unjust war perpetrated against those who have committed no aggression. Mosley 2. Self-defense against physical aggression, therefore, is the only sufficient reason for just cause. It is commonly held that aggressive war is only permissible if its purpose is to retaliate against wrong already committed. Subpoint C. Ferraro. Nation-states are not legitimate authorities if they fight wars for the wrong reason. A war is just only if it is waged for a legitimate authority. A just war can only be fought to redress a wrong suffered. Further, a just war can only be fought with right intentions. The only permissible objective of a just war is to redress the injury. Condition 2. The nation state, even in its best incarnation, perpetrates massive atrocities upon the populace every day. Subpoint A. Drug war. There exists no nation state that does not have harms from the criminalization of drugs. UNODC 12. About 230 million people, or 5% of the world's adult population, are estimated to have used an illicit drug at least once in 2010. Problem drug users number about 27 million, which is 0.6% of the world adult population. Heroin, cocaine, and other drugs kill around 0.2 million people each year. Illicit drugs undermine the economic and social development and contribute to crime, instability, insecurity, and the spread of HIV. Global opium production amounted to 7,000 tons in 2011. Although member states are to be commended for their hard work in dealing with the drug problem, the figures sketched above indicate the scale of the challenge. The harms of drug use listed here by the United Nations pale in comparison to the harms of drug enforcement. The United Nations talks about 200,000 deaths globally a year from drugs. Meanwhile, the deaths and lives ruined due to the criminalization by nation states numbers into countless millions. Subpoint B. Taxation. Taxation is a form of unjust coercion. Coercion is defined as the use of force or intimidation to obtain compliance. Rand 64. Neither wealth nor jobs exist in given limited static quantity, waiting to be divided. Benefits have to be produced, so there can't really be any conflict of interest among rational men. There can never be compromise between freedom and control. To submit to any control is to open the way to complete subjugation. One must never fail to pronounce moral judgment. Never fail to take sides, which means taking responsibility for your judgments. If you want to help the poor, the ill, and the disadvantaged, you are free to do so, but no society can rightly force you to help others. State-run humanitarian aid and collectivized healthcare are akin to robbery. Socialism, solely run by the powerless and the intellectuals, has failed because it tries to subordinate the real interests of real men with a non-existent society. Unfree countries, with their show trials, political executions, censorship, and nationalization of private property, cannot claim any rights whatsoever. The only duty of government is to protect individual rights, especially against violence. Taxation ought to be voluntary. Perhaps by lottery or by taxing contrast, racism is a phallus version of collectivism, treating individuals as mere parts of a group. Only truly free capitalism can guard against it. Guard yourself against moral intimidation where your enemies state that only bad people can hold your views by having moral certainty and being willing to stand by it. Self-linked centralization of power. The centralization of power restricts liberty. Federal Observer 12. All would-be dictators started as advocates for the common man to win them over, but in their hearts is the overwhelming ambition to rule over the common man. The founding fathers knew this and warned future generations that the Constitution would be torn asunder and the common man would become but subjects of a powerful centralized government. Not necessarily because politicians are generally corrupt, but more because of the common man is so weak. The reality is, freedom is hard. Dependency is fairly easy. You don't need guns to subjugate the people. All you need is millions of laws, rules, restrictions, and ordinances, and a healthy public treasury from which you can buy votes. As the laws and rules grow, the decision should pull ever tighter around the vulnerable girths of the common man. Freedom is a far from reach that can never be reached, as long as the common man seeks to free stuff in exchange for liberty. Condition 3. A negative rights framework demands that we acknowledge the individual's right to unrestricted movement from place to place, from public place to public place. 7.8. Reality demands either recognition of property rights. It is how we know what the word fair means. Fairness itself supervenes upon property rights. Zella 14. The reason property rights are more fundamental than and the concept upon which aggression depends is the only reason there is a need for property rights is the possibility of conflict, and this arises only because we live in a world of scarce resources. Humans act, which means to employ certain scarce means to achieve certain chosen ends. 7.b. Proof our framework. To argue in favor of aggression in response to that which is not aggression is to promote violence against another and to make injustice more prevalent. Kinsella 14. Anyone who argues for the state is arguing for aggression and therefore for injustice. One can favor the state, but he cannot justify it. Force may legitimately be used against others only in response to aggression. It is levels against someone for any other reason. It is unjust aggression itself. Condition 4. We must go through the Tocquevillian process in order for us to truly have a democracy. We must do properly for the first time to get to the Tocquevillian city-state phase. Local control is how individuals attain accountability from those who govern them. Tocqueville 3. The town has the strength of people. The town liberty is the most difficult to suppress, the most difficult to create. It is in the town that nearly all the strength of the people resides. Democracy promotion cannot take ground until the paradigm shifting of autonomous township occurs. The town puts liberty and government within the grasp of the people. It gives them an education or creates great national assemblies. Now I am open for cross-examination.
3 minutes. What is that?
It's just my flow. It's not for. I'm not showing it for you guys. I'm showing it for the viewers.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
3 minutes. Cross-X time starts now. Okay. Sorry. Okay, autonomy. How your VC is upholding negative rights. How does upholding negative rights relate to autonomy?
Okay, so if you uphold negative rights, then you uphold the property rights of these people, so you allow these people to own their bodies, and when you allow them to own their bodies, they're being autonomous because they can do what they choose to do.
Okay. So in the event that two people's rights, like negative rights, clash, what happens?
It's not possible because two negative rights, like if they were to clash, they wouldn't be negative rights. Like one of them wouldn't be negative rights.
Huh?
Because a negative right, you can't.
Put the burden back on her. Put the burden back on her. Give me an example. Say that.
Okay, give me an example.
Man.
No. I'm telling Carla to say that to you.
Okay.
But she's not allowed to ask questions.
But in response to your question, she should say, well, give me an example.
Okay.
So give me an example of where two negative rights clash.
Well, in your speech, you're saying that someone has negative rights to their own body. So if someone were to say that they had the right to control their body and they had the right to move their body towards someone else's private property, in which case that would clash with the other person's like property rights. So yeah, that's my example. Okay, next question.
Hey, Courtney,
Yeah.
a better example would be abortion.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, yeah, that's it. Okay. Um.
Oh.
So
Because
the
go
harms that
go
you
ahead. My bad.
Okay.
do I keep going? The harms that you talk about in your contention too, are they still relevant if you can't solve for them?
I'll prove that I can solve for them.
If you are not able to solve for them, are they still relevant?
Well, I'll be able to prove that I can solve for them.
In the event that you are not able to solve for them, are they still relevant?
Well, first, you have to prove that they
Time's
aren't
up.
relevant.
Answer for the question.
If you hey Carla, listen, if you want to avoid that question, you avoid it by saying, I guess we'll find out if you prove whatever, you know.
Okay, I guess we'll find out if you can.
Okay. I'm going no prep, 7 minutes. I'm gonna go negs and out.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Time.
Wait.
Carla, let her start her own time.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Time, start. Now, any given resolution, immigration ought to be recognized as a human right. Immigration as defined by the Oxford Learned Dictionary is the process of coming to live permanently in a country that's not your own. Ought to be defined by the Cambridge Dictionary, was desired ideal, what is likely. Recognized as defined by the Merriam-Webster Law Dictionary. To acknowledge formally to take notice in some definite way. Human right is defined as a universal right that imparts duty of non-appearance. Framework, interpretation. The purpose of debate is to determine the probable truth or falsity of the debate resolution. The proposition being argued is the counterpart of the scientists or philosophers' hypothesis.
Clear.
Necessary and sufficient conditions to solving the problem stipulated by the affirmative. First, the role of the affirmative plan is de-emphasized in favor of the words of the resolution. The affirmative plan in a hypothesis testing debate is to serve as a means of operationalizing key aspects of the resolution. That the process of coming to live permanently in a country that's not your own is a desired ideal that should be formally acknowledged in a definite way as a right inherent to all human beings. This debate is about the value of life, and the ballot should address the fact. The affirmative has the burden to establish the validity and integrity of the resolution via the criterion presented to present a reasonable recommendation of a cause or policy that sufficiently advances the goals outlined by the resolution, should the resolution be proven true. The negative burden, the negative is given the latitude to select as many different tests as the necessary truth of the resolution. In this places presumption against proposition and serves as a means of providing for a regular sense of proposition. If there's any other possible way of solving the problem, or if the resolution contains an intrinsic clause which necessarily overcomes its proven advantages, the resolution is negated. The value of life is prerequisite to all of the values. Okay. The best weighing mechanism for the round is the value criterion of upholding property rights. Contentions. Contention 1. De Tocqueville. Autonomous self-governing state-states need time to establish liberty. Of all liberties, town liberty is the most exposed to the emergence of power. Town institutions scarcely resist from strong enterprise and government to defend themselves successfully. They must have reached their fullest development. Thus, town liberty is easy to destroy, and it can become part of the mores only after existing in the laws for a long time. Town liberty arises by itself. The continuous actions of circumstances and time succeed in its consolidation. Contention 2. Property rights. Okay. Non-aggression requires property rights. We oppose aggression defined in terms of property rights so allocated. We believe aggression is unjust and unjustifiable. Our shorthand use phrases like non-aggression principle or non-initiation of force, as well as general terms like liberty and freedom, and opposition to coercion, and so on, all of which are either shorthand or conceptually dependent terms on the more fundamental and primary notion of property rights. Governments necessarily adjudicate issues of property rights because such rights are the only means to determine justice. As an example, if I hit you, it is aggression because you own your body. If I take an apple from you, it is aggression only if you own the apple. If it is my apple and I am retrieving from the thief, the act of force used to take it back is not aggression. We cannot determine whether a given pair of border crossing is invasion or theft or trespass or aggression unless we first identify who the owner of the contested resource is. Okay. Reality demands of recognition of property rights. How we know what the word fair means. Fairness itself supervenes upon property rights. The reason property rights are more fundamental than, and the concept upon which aggression depends, is that the only reason there is a need for property rights is the possibility of conflict. And this arises only because we live in a world of scarce, rivalrous resources. Humans act which need to employ certain scarce means to achieve certain chosen ends. Contention 3. Fractal universes. Reality can only exist with observation. Researchers working at the ANU have conducted an experiment that helps bolster the ever-growing evidence surrounding properties inherent to the quantum theory. They have shown that reality does not actually exist until it is measured. The team trapped in a collective of helium atoms in Bose-Einstein condensate and then ejected them from their containment until there was only a single atom left. The arbitrary number generated after the atom had passed through the crossroads was measured at the end of its path. It already displayed the wave or particle characteristics applied after it completed its journey. According to Truscott, this means that if one chooses to believe that the atom really did take a particular path or path, then one has to accept that the future measurement is affecting the atom's past. The atom did not travel from A to B. It was only when they were into the journey that their wave-like or particle-like behavior was brought into existence. It proves that measurement is everything. At the quantum level, reality does not exist if you are not looking at it. Okay, so on to my opponent's case. So for the value of autonomy, life is prerequisite. My first argument against this is that life is a prerequisite. Second, autonomy isn't the only way to enjoy life. That's why you should prefer my value of life. Going on, we both have the same VC. Basically the thing. So like the value criteria will be the same in judgment round. Next, her definition of immigration. Her definition of immigration is only to leave a country. Oh wait, no. Departure from one's native land to settle another. However, in the status quo, we have nation states, which is why you should prefer the negatives definition of immigration, which includes countries or nation states, because that would be more relevant to the status quo. Going on, so on her first contention, she said that the elimination of nation states is good. However, she doesn't even eliminate nation states because immigrants don't necessarily have to become citizens of the nation state they immigrate to. So obviously, this is not relevant. Going on to okay, now go all the way down to. Okay, wait. Now, going to contention 2, nation states are bad, and she provides all these harms. However, first of all, she doesn't solve, and I'll explain why she doesn't solve later. Going on to contention 3, prefer our framework argument. Like I said before, life is a prerequisite, and autonomy isn't the only way to enjoy life. Therefore, you should prefer life as a value. Now going on to her contention 4 to Tocqueville. First of all, by destroying nation states, you make it impossible for people to be able to recoup into city states. So obviously, her Tocqueville doesn't stand. And if you don't accept this argument, she's also being vague by not providing a way to enforce her plan. Okay. Vagueness block. Interpretation. The affirmative must meet their burden within the AC to provide the MC with a clearly defined advocacy presented as an unconditional recommendation of cause or policy. Violation. The affirmative fails to meet their burden to provide the negative with a clearly defined advocacy presented as a recommendation of cause or policy within the AC. Standards. Breadth versus depth. Clash requires in-depth analysis. My interpretation best crystallizes analysis. Fairness. The debate requires an even distribution of ground. My interpretation best limits both teams to an equal amount of ground. Bright line. The resolution requires specificity. My interpretation provides the best distinction between what is topical and what is not. Voting issues. A priori. The role of ballots to address the resolution. My interpretation is a prerequisite to the resolution. Jurisdiction. The role of ballots to address the resolution. My interpretation follows from the ballots of the resolution. Clash. The role of debate is to provide conflicting arguments. My interpretation offers the most conflict. So going back to her contention 2, the reason she doesn't solve for all of the harms that she talks about from nation states is first because she doesn't eliminate nation states in the first place because immigrants don't necessarily have to become citizens of the nation state they immigrate to. Second, by destroying nation states, you make it impossible for people to recoup and become city states. Third, vagueness. She doesn't provide a way to enforce her plan anyways. That's it. I'm now open to context.
How much time do you have left?
1 minute.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Context. 3 minutes. Time starts now.
Wait. Court. Okay. Time
Okay.
starts
now.
Alright. So, let me see. Okay. In response to my contention 1, you state that we don't eliminate the nation states because they don't become citizens. How is that? Could you further clarify that argument?
Well, okay, so in your constructive speech or your first speech, the speech you just had, you say that by affirming...
Hey, Catherine.
Hello, Mr. Shaw. This is Catherine's
By
mom.
affirming, you eliminate the distinction
Yep,
between
hi.
nation states,
I
and
wonder
you
if
say
there's
that
any
that's
class for tonight.
the reason
Yeah,
you take
it's on the
because
Facebook page as always. I put the link in there where anytime we have it. It was from, it's happening right now. There's LD going on. And if you look, yeah, look at the link on the Facebook page and have Catherine join right now. It's fine. We're in the middle of a round, in fact.
It's already the middle of one, and then I think we know we heard about schedule and then we skip the time for her, but I don't know why she won't join.
Besides that, I also provide other
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page. If you look at the Autonomy Facebook page, it has the link. It's also in the Strauss Army. It's also in Strauss Army, which she's a member of. It's just a group chat. She knows about this already. Yeah, she.
It's already, it's like almost, I keep on asking.
Oh, okay, so another...
You keep on asking her? Well, tell her she knows. She knows already because she's in that Strauss Army group chat. She got the link already. She knows PF is having a separate session on Hangouts with a different coach. She knows LD is
off for any
Mr. Schwartz, I'm sorry, can I give the phone to Catherine?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she's next. I think, wait a minute, please.
So it like links together.
Okay.
1 minute in cross section.
Yeah, I know. Okay, and you say that like the.
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a round right now. You're gonna have to. Catherine knows how to join if she wants to. I can't. I don't have time to talk to her about it right now. Okay. She
I
knows.
understand.
Okay.
What's the next time? What's the next time?
Well, there's gonna be something tomorrow night probably. Look, she has a schedule too. She wrote it down. She was there. We went over this. She knows all this.
About today?
She knows. She knows. Okay. She
Okay.
wrote this down.
Okay.
She's not being honest with you. She knows all
You
this.
didn't post it yet? Okay. Catherine, wait a minute.
Okay, I can't have this conversation right now though. Okay, I'll have to talk to you about it later. Thank you. Yeah. Catherine. For Christ's sakes. She knows all this shit.
But we still have 1 minute, so I'm gonna put 1 minute on the clock, okay?
Okay, do this. Hey, do the last speech over from the scratch, please. The last whatever it was, the cross, because I got interrupted, and all that. That whole conversation is gonna be on this video too.
Okay, so I'll just redo the cross. 3 minutes, time starts now.
Okay, so you state that in response to my first contention that you don't, like, we don't eliminate borders because they don't become citizens. Could you further explain the argument?
Well, basically, in order for the only reason you'd be eliminating borders is if everyone was able to become part of every other country. However, immigrants aren't necessarily becoming part of other countries by moving there, because just because an immigrant resides in a certain country does not mean they're part of it, because they are not citizens. Also, you don't solve for any of the harms that you talk about in your contention 2, and I already provided 3 reasons of why you don't solve. And because you don't solve for any of those harms, obviously the elimination of the nation state isn't good, because you don't solve for any.
Okay. And do you provide any response against my affirmative burden?
Your affirmative burden? You mean? No, I did not.
Okay. Why will these city-states not be able to recoup after, like, we destroy them throughout the decentralizing process?
I think that after you've destroyed all forms of governmental systems that are part of the societies that people reside in, that they would naturally just be able to recoup before another different governmental system in the form of city states. It's unrealistic. Besides the argument, I also provide 2 others.
Okay.
You're making me hungry.
This is for you, Courtney. Here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you oh my gosh, thank you so much. No. Sorry. 35 seconds, 33, 32, 30 seconds left in cross X.
Okay. Okay, crossover.
Prep?
What is that? Are you just like snacking on candy?
Mm-hmm.
Carla, are you gonna be teaching prep?
Yeah, I'll have my prep time running starting now.
Oh, thank God, Catherine's here. Catherine, you know how much time you waste by lying to your parents like that, dude? It's annoying. Hey, Catherine, wait till after the round, okay? Oh, you're trying to outdo me, huh? Okay. What's happening right now? Prep or what?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, cool.
Carlos prep.
Alright, cool.
Okay. Stop prep. I have 3 minutes, 23 seconds left. Okay. Off time roadmap. I'll be going, what is this, NCAC. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
1 minute, first affirmative rebuttal. Time starts now. Okay, my opponent provides the value of life, and in response, I have two responses to that. First, without autonomy, life is meaningless, because if you aren't able to exercise your own ideas, it's meaningless. And also, my opponent's value of life, it's not really a value, because all values assume life. Because if you weren't living, you wouldn't be able to discuss about lives. And also, my opponent is saying this is value of life in order to what is that called? Not support the value of sanctity of life, because in the sanctity of life, you would have to say that we lock up people into cages so that they can live longer, and that value, my opponent doesn't want to uphold the burden to, and therefore, you should prefer my value of autonomy, because, it's easy, it's actually a value. Alright, moving on to my opponent, we have the same value criterion, so there's not really a debate on that. Now, moving on to my opponent's first contention. My opponent states that, in their utopian contention, that we have to transform from nation states to city states. However, it is impossible to go directly from nation states to city states, because, as I have stated in my second contention, all these atrocities committed by the nation states are non-existent in city states. So if we were to change nation states to city states, all of those atrocities would still be there, and therefore it wouldn't be possible for this to happen. And my form of utopia bill, where you have nation states first, you collapse it all, and then from there, these people will build city states which are better, because according to Tocqueville, city states will lead to democracy. So, my form of Tocqueville has a higher probability. Also, my opponent is making the false assumption that we are already in the city state phase in order for this to happen, because it's impossible for nation states to become city states. So my opponent would be assuming that we're in the city state phase, and this is incorrect, because right now we're in nation states. Now, moving on to my opponent's second contention about property rights. My opponent saying that you're trespassing upon land when you're immigrating. However, as I've stated in my third contention about okay, wait, which contention was that? I think it is, but anyway, as I've established in my case, we're moving from public land to public land, and therefore nobody owns public land. And if I want to say that taxpayers own public land, taxpayers pay money to the government, and the government is the custodian to the public land, and therefore nobody actually owns public land. And also, I actually better uphold property rights, because I'm allowing those immigrants to own their own bodies and do their own, do whatever they want with their own bodies, because my opponent is upholding slavery when they're saying that these people don't own their bodies, because now we're controlling them to not allow them to move which way they want, and therefore my opponent's actually upholding slavery, and I uphold property rights better. Now, moving on to the third contention about fractal universes. Turn this argument about fractal universes, because if we allow these people to immigrate, they'll be able to share their ideas and metagalaxies with those people around them, and if they're able to share their ideas and metagalaxies, it'll lead to more metagalaxies and more improvement in these people's universes. And also, fractal universes aren't enough to change nation states into city states, if that's what my opponent thinks is gonna happen. And also, if you follow my opponent's line of thought, then if I observe that I win, then I'm gonna win, and that is not that's what fractal universes would be saying. All right, moving on to my opponent's case. So my opponent states that, in response to my first contention, that I don't eliminate borders because they don't become citizens. However, okay, so fine, probably say I don't eliminate borders. I just make everybody turn into city states, and these city states still have borders. Well, now we have to immigrate to the moon because like these places are all Earth. Because like when you're letting these people to immigrate, they're just immigrating freely, and they go to moon. They go to the moon, and when they're immigrating to the moon, people will be happier. And I think everything covered.
Yeah, not quite. Okay, that's fine. Let's proceed.
I'm gonna take all 3 minutes of my prep time.
Okay.
Starts now.
Joss, are you drawing again?
Yeah. Is that okay? I know this debate round too much now. I've seen this debate round a
Joss,
lot.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Yes, I'm drawing. I know this debate round well now. I've heard it a number of times. After this round, I know what we need to do as well. I have a much clearer sense of this now.
Yay, okay.
Fine. I'm gonna go. So this speech is 6 minutes. I'm gonna go egg, then ask.
Right.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Wait. Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Time starts now. Okay, so on the definition of immigration, my opponent doesn't say anything about the definition of immigration, so now we would be going by my definition of immigration, which is the process of coming to live permanently in a country that's not your own. Okay, going on, the value of life. My opponent says that without autonomy, life is meaningless, and she says that life is a value. First of all, to the argument that without autonomy, life is meaningless. Like I said before, autonomy isn't the only way to enjoy life, which means that people can still be happy even if they don't have autonomy. So obviously, you can kick this argument. Her next argument is life isn't a value. However, life is a value because you're able to choose whether you want life or not. You are able to choose whether you want to take your own life or you want to keep living. So obviously, if you have a choice about life, then life can be a value. Going on, VC, we both agree that she says that it's impossible for a nation state to transform to city state, and that I'm misinterpreting the status quo. First of all, when you talk about the transformation from nation states to city states, it's obvious that my Tocqueville has a higher probability of working because she's literally destroying all the governmental systems that they have currently, and she's expecting them to recoup. Mine, however, is just a simple transition. Also, with the misuse of the status quo, that is not true because I've never said that there are city states in the status quo. I'm merely stating that they'll go through a transition from nation states to city states. So obviously, this argument about misinterpreting the status quo is completely irrelevant. Going on to contention 2, property rights, she says that it's from public land to public land, and in fact, she upholds property rights better because she's not advocating for slavery. However, first of all, it's not slavery because we prevent people from clashing negative rights. Obviously, yeah, obviously we're not like restricting any of their rights. We're merely making sure that their negative rights don't clash with other people. Going on to the practical universe, she says that you improve their individual realities by allowing them to travel. However, there's long-term improvement of individual realities if you go through my plan, because you're allowing them to stay in their original reality and improve democracy. And if they're improving their own democracy, then it's long-term improvement of realities going on. She says that it isn't enough. Practical universes aren't enough to change nation states and city states. However, she's misinterpreting my argument. I've never said that I was advocating for that. In fact, because that wouldn't be Tocqueville. I'm not saying that nation states will be transforming to city states through practical universes. She's completely misinterpreting this. So keep this argument because it doesn't make any sense, because that's not what I'm advocating for. Going on to the affirmative case. So against the value of I already talked about the framework and the value debate. So going on to the contention one, when she literally says she says the moon, and she's keeping by using this moon argument, she's literally keeping all the solvency she had for nation states, which means she can no longer accept her contention two, which she states about all the harms of nation states, because that's not going to be relevant anymore, because she's talking about the moon. Not to mention this whole moon thing, that's completely irrelevant because okay, going on. She literally concedes to my argument that she doesn't eliminate nation states. So she doesn't eliminate nation states. She concedes to that argument, especially with now that we're going by my definition of immigration. Going on to contention 2, contention 3, and contention 4. She dropped all of these arguments, which means you have to extend the clause to flow. Don't allow her to make don't allow her to make up for this in her next speech, because that's not allowed, Judge. Going on, so just to make sure that you know what these are. Contention 2, I talked about she talked about all these harms for nation states. However, I already said before that she doesn't solve. And basically, by dropping this, she's agreeing that she doesn't solve. Not to mention, not only is she agreeing it by agreeing the fact that she doesn't solve by dropping it, she's also agreeing it because she's bringing up the moon argument, which means she's keeping all her nation state solvency. Going on to contention 3, where for our framework argument, by dropping my refutation to this, she's literally agreeing that autonomy isn't a prerequisite to life, and that life is a better value. Going on to de Tocqueville, where I provide 3 arguments for why de Tocqueville isn't why her class is going through de Tocqueville isn't relevant. She literally drops all of these, which means she agrees that we have to go through the next process, which means she's literally not affirming anymore because she concedes to the negative advocacy. So these 3 arguments were by destroying nation states to make it impossible for people to recruit into city states. She dropped this, which means she agrees, that her de Tocqueville wouldn't work. She also doesn't respond to the vagueness, where she has the burden to explain explain how her cause or policy would work through enforcement, and she also doesn't respond to the fact that and for my 3rd argument about she doesn't eliminate nation states, she actually concedes to. So So now I've proven to you that all. Now I've proven to you that all the negative solves, and that the affirmative actually concedes that she doesn't solve, and that we should go by the negative advocacy. On the framework, back to the framework debate. Even if you don't accept my arguments against the framework, if we go by autonomy and upholding negative rights, I still solve better. So if we go by opponent's framework, I would still solve better than my opponent, because on the basis of upholding negative rights would be the way we do autonomy. So if I uphold negative rights better, then that means I would achieve autonomy, which is through her framework. So obviously I uphold negative rights better because I've already shown you that I prevent people from clashing negative rights. And I do this by allowing people by negating, I prove that people won't have a clash of negative rights. Plus, my opponent concedes that she'll be going to the moon instead of actually living on Earth with nation states, so she concedes this as well. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's see the next thing.
I've got 3:23 left of prep. Prep time starts now.
Okay.
Are you working on ATs after this?
Yeah. Actually, what I want to do, I'll tell you right now the plan. I just want to go straight through the foundation briefs thing that Carla's mom so kindly got for us, and use that as sort of a guide for some likely cases we're going to hit and what kind of ATs we're going to need and stuff like that. Okay?
Charles, can you still see my face?
I still can't see your face.
Oh, okay, because like Catherine's here.
I know it didn't change anything actually, because Catherine. The reason you're right to think it might have, but the reason it didn't was because Catherine filled in the space that was empty anyway, so it didn't change anything else.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. If all 13 people put on their webcams, would we like have like go into like a second row?
Well, if I had 13 people in here and they all wanted to be on webcams, I might need a second room, or it might be able to handle that. It's designed to be able to handle up to I think 35 or 25 or something like that.
Would the webcams show on a second row?
Oh, probably. I don't know. I've never tried that. It's a good question.
Okay. So I'll just be going on voters.
Okay. Tell us all about your voters.
3 minutes. Time.
Wait. Okay. Okay. Time
Start.
starts now. Okay, so first is the value debate. I provide the value of autonomy and provides the value of life. As I've stated, like without autonomy, life is meaningless. But my opponent states that even tyrannical governments, people can still like be happy and like live happily. However, right now in like this nation state situation, like if take yourself as an example. If you were to be cooped up in a room and then like never allowed to do anything because you're being tyrannized by someone and that other person's like not letting you do anything, then no, of course you wouldn't be happy. And even if you don't accept that, I state that my life is not a value. However, my point is that life, because you can choose to live or not, life is a value. However, you do not choose to be born, or you do not choose like when the like. Yeah, you did not choose to be born, and therefore life is not a value. And the only value that life can be upholding would be the sanctity of life, where like life. However, my opponent is not upholding that value, and therefore, you should provide you should support my value of autonomy in this round. And I actually addressed that in my last speech because when I was at top of case, I addressed that. I did not address it in response to my opponent's response to my third contention, but I did address it at the top of case, and therefore that response should expand across the globe. All right, and moving on to the second voting issue about the definition of immigrate. Well, as I stated, like if we're going to immigrate onto the moon, the definition of immigrate, like I can accept my opponent's definition of immigrate because no. If we're immigrating on the moon, the definition of immigrate doesn't really matter anymore because there's two places and there's not really a country anymore. So the definition debate doesn't really matter. And to extend to talk more about my moon argument, I am not kicking my nation state harms because when we immigrate onto the moon, we're not going to immigrate onto and settle as nation states. Rather, we're going to immigrate on and settle as city states. And when we settle as city states, these city states, as talked about by Tocqueville, are these great places that aren't as bad as the nation states. And my opponent advocates for these nation states to directly turn into city states. However, my opponent doesn't respond to the argument that these harms that I have stated about nation states don't disappear, and that they will go into city states, and this transition is impossible. And therefore, you have to choose my way of where you first destroy these terrible things that are happening, and naturally, as we have seen over time, these city states will develop, and this actually has a higher probability because it's possible, whereas my opponent's side is impossible. Now, about my solvency, about the nation state harms, my opponent's seats I don't solve because I'm being vague. However, like in the last speech, However, because like my opponent conceded like the burdens that I provided of like just simply saying that eliminating the nation state is good. So in this round, my burden was to establish that eliminating nation state is good. I didn't have to provide an enforcement plan, and as I didn't have to provide an enforcement plan, I didn't have to have like solvency, and therefore you should rule for me because those harms are still there.
That you didn't argue against my burden.
Well, you conceded to it, Courtney.
Well, I conceded that I have your burden, but I never X'd out my burden, so technically we still have both burdens.
Isn't the round over, guys?
Like, even if we did have
We're very petty people.
Your burden is just to have a cause or policy. It doesn't say like an enforcement plan in there.
My burden is to have that sufficiently advances the goals outlined by the resolution, which means in order to sufficiently advance the goals, you need to have an enforcement plan.
Sufficiently advance the goal means you just advocate for it.
It's impossible for a cause or policy to be able to sufficiently advance the goals without an enforcement plan.
Isn't the round over, you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for watching Talking with Famous People. Carla, can you go duck out?
Okay.
For a sec. Thank you. And then we're going to go like so and go like so.